Hi, this is Ross from Avaya. In this video, we're going to be covering off the new Dashlets that we're providing for Session Manager. So I've got a couple of different examples running on my screen here. The first one here on the left comes from within System Health. So down here with the Session Manager dashboard down here, this part here. And the second one relates to the bandwidth, and that's the SIP bandwidth usage up here under Network. Now, between these two dashlets, it's going to give you a lot of information that you require to run these environments efficiently. So we'll start with the Session Manager dashboard itself. So as per usual, it follows the OSI model. Up the top, we have processor memory disk utilization. So your hardware, your operating system. 54 days since the last reboot up there. And if I expand the occupancy button, I can see the last 10 minutes of processor and memory performance there. Next layer up on the OSI model is the software services, of course, and we can see there all of the software services. They are alive and they are responsive. So you can see there they're all green, so they're all up and running nicely for us. Up above the software, we're starting to get into the configuration layer and the application layer where the end user experience is truly taking place. First one we look at there is the SIP entity status. So this is effectively the SIP trunk groups, your SIP trunk groups that are running out of Session Manager. Of course, this is just the control side of it, so just the signaling. The media doesn't touch Session Manager, right? So the media will go the shortest path from endpoint to endpoint. But this is the signaling side. So we can see the name of the entities, and we can see they're color-coded with their status, green being good, up and running. And you can see there on the right-hand side, we've got a whole lot of 200 OKs through here, which of course 200 is a good message to receive in the SIP world because it's an acknowledgement and everything's positive. The error messages start in, or the failure codes start in 3, 4, 5. And you can see an example up the top there. We've got a 500 service available, service unavailable, sorry. You can see that that's orange rather than red. So the reason we've made it orange or amber is the fact that the LSP is inactive. So that's a normal status for a survivable processor. If it's not active, you're going to get a 500, but that's a normal sign. So we make that orange as opposed to red. As I've moused over it, you can see we get a lot of additional service management information. So we get the FQDN or the IP address of the device at the far end. Its name, the status. We can see how we're talking to that in terms of the IP address and port. So we're talking to that on 172.17.225.13 on port 5061. That's TLS encrypted. So that's following the recommended standards under the RFC for SIP encryption. The last response code there took 6 milliseconds to cross the network. So we get a lot of good information there. And of course, if we mouse over a entity that's in a good status, we get the same sort of information. So that one there is a entity that feeds through to in an environment here at VSM. So just collapse the entity status. Actually, before I do, down the bottom here, there's unmonitored links. So of course, within Session Manager, you can set links up to be monitored or not. So anything that's non-production, you don't need to monitor that. So I've got a bunch of test stuff in there that you can see there we're deliberately not monitoring. So that's not going to raise any issues within VSM because it's non-production, doesn't matter. So collapse that again. And now we start looking at the SIP registration status. So this is the station side, if you like, of SIPs. So the top one, the SIP entity status relates to kind of your trunk equivalent. This side relates to your extension equivalent on the SIP world. So you can see there we've got 5 stations that are using the Session Manager as a primary point of registration and 5 as a secondary. So we're operating an environment where we have duplication. We have 2 Session Managers and the SIP endpoints are registered to both. So one's the primary, one's the secondary. So it's counted our registrations there. And then finally, the session status. So we're looking at the media now, and we break that down per media type. So We've got 4 audio calls in progress at the moment, which is a total of 4 sessions. But you can see there we also break down not just to audio, but multimedia, fax, text, and other media types. So if you're running a multimedia environment, or your session manager's handling fax, text, that shows up in there as well. So that kind of gives you everything you need to manage these environments nicely. We expand all these out. The dashboard takes up a reasonable amount of space on your desktop, as you can see here. So you can run that collapsed or expanded and focused in on the areas that you want to see to your heart's content. Over here on the right-hand side, SIP location bandwidth. So what we're looking at there is we're looking at the SIP locations that are set up within the Avaya Session Manager. So there's these don't necessarily relate to the entities. They may contain multiple entities or just one, but they are focused around the location. And the idea around that is that you get to see the bandwidth that's running perhaps across your wide area network. In this case, I've got 3 examples up. So this top one here you can see is running from this Agile Session Manager to Session Border Controller. And you can see that number in brackets there, that's the location number that you'll see inside Session Manager. And the name, of course, is picked up out of the Session Manager configuration. So as you add these, change them around, of course, VSM's ability to do configuration management and the CMDB, we pick up these changes and automatically map them through to dashboards. So you're not having to, and reports, so you're not having to maintain that. So that one's the bandwidth that's currently running through to the Session Border Controller. And we've got the Skype environment here, so we've got Skype for Business also. So it looks like there's one active call up there between the Skype for Business environment and the Avaya environment being handled by Session Manager. And then finally, this is the Auckland location. So this is one of the branches. So we can see the bandwidth there that's running across to that branch. So all in all, a bunch of very interesting service management information, giving you everything you need to gain good visibility inside these environments. Any suggestions, ideas for additional things that we can include within VSM, not just related to Session Manager, but anything, please keep that feedback coming through to support@versi.com. You guys drive the functionality, and the benefits flow through from you guys and out to the wider VSM base. And we like to keep the product moving ahead and very relevant and useful to you all. So keep those ideas coming through. Really appreciate it. Cheers.